These next-gen impressions are brought to you by Lumosity. So hopefully you've seen all, if at least many, of the videos I had for a couple of days I spent with Xbox One games and some of the representatives of those games and the company. I want to give you kind of my thoughts after that entire sort of 2-day process. And I have to say, Microsoft their back was so against the wall after their announcement at the Redmond campus, and then even during E3 and then the retreat from the policies. I had commented I found the E3 presentation, while impressive in terms of the number of games shown, almost kind of a desperate attempt to say, like, no, we're about games, no, we're about games. Just the way they presented themselves at this event was quite notable for its transition from how they once were. It was very confident. There were a lot of games available, and it wasn't just like kind of a small slice. It was the entire game. The time was not there to play them all the way through, but that definitely demonstrates that they can show something and not a vertical slice that is sort of designed to be demonstrative of it performing at its best. In terms of the games that I saw, really the top three that I think that will be on anybody's mind who's looking at Xbox One is Dead Rising, Ryse, and of course Forza. Forza is probably the most next-gen to me. Obviously it looks good. They're saying it's 1080p, 60 frames. There's nothing I saw that would make me think otherwise. But it's actually kind of the way it's using the cloud, that drivatar term that they're using. I did see behavior out of the cars that was quite unique, quite different, and it actually made it a very exciting experience. But I have to say, the game that probably surprised me the most is Ryse. I mean, wow, if this game was supposed to be the generic game that was really kind of dragging down the reputation of the Xbox One, I sat down and played it, and I had a lot of fun. It's kind of a mixture between Assassin's Creed and Batman, a lot of fluidity on the combat, and a really heavy emphasis on blocking. I didn't play a ton of it, but when I had to stop playing to do my interview, I kind of had that, muscle desire to go back and play again, but unfortunately, it was at the end of the day. Dead Rising 3 was there as well, and there were some fun aspects to that. It was probably the most familiar game. Now, Forza was actually very familiar too, but it was kind of fun to be playing a game and to sort of know that there's a game at launch that is a reliable and inventive, to be honest, franchise. The real takeaway from the games is they showed some smaller ones. There was a golf game. There was, the Dragon game that definitely has its heart with Panzer Dragoon. Both were just fine. But it's a nice, rounded catalog. Are these games screaming next-gen? Probably not. They're all very, very good-looking. Are they doing something so remarkably innovative that we can see what the future is going to be like? No. But strategically from Microsoft, from the way I'm looking at Microsoft, especially with Forza and Dead Rising, you have games that have so much content that a lot of people who are buying the new console and who are buying these games will probably find themselves with something to do until Titanfall comes out on March 11th. The other thing, which I was, I've always been interested in the Kinect, but I just didn't know how much of an improvement this new Kinect was over the one that's currently available. And there's a demo that comes with the Xbox One. It's for Kinect Sports Rivals. You're doing sort of a wave racy thing, and you're driving with slight movements, and very subtle movements, I must say, of your wrist to steer. And when I sat down to play it, actually I stood up to play it, I did it like most motion games. You over-exaggerate, and that was a complete failure. It was very interesting. It's probably the first time I've seen it applied in a game where you can see the level of sensitivity and the subtlety of the reading that comes out from these types of motions. I actually enjoyed playing it. Kinect Sports seems to be less a kid's game than something that's more of an adult version. It's more like a Wii Sports. It was just the one instance, but it really highlighted the fact that there might be some really interesting potential coming from the Kinect. Also in Dead Rising 3, the way that you push the zombies off you is not the button mashing, but you just kind of shove the controller at the Kinect. It's that kind of unintrusive and logical use of motion controls where I think there is a lot of potential. I'm not a big fan of motion-only games unless they really need to be motion-only. And I'm not really a fan of sort of motion-in games just to kind of remind you that you need to have this device. This was integrated into the experience. It didn't feel extraneous, and it really did kind of resolve an interactivity and gameplay problem that's really plagued a lot of games this year, which is I need to hit the button over and over again, which really in concept sounds cool, but in practice just isn't that fun. So at the end of the day, look, I'm not saying that the Xbox One is better than the PS4, but if, in contrast to where they started earlier this year to where they seem to be, they seem to have a clear idea of what their console is, what their launch is going to be like, and I think for those of you that are interested, you can be rather comfortable. Hey, do you want to improve your brain power and perhaps live a better life? Then you should check out our sponsor, Lumosity. They make brain training easy with fun and games based on neuroscience. It's like a personal trainer for your brain that lets you build a customized program to enhance memory and attention. Over 40 million users have already experienced Lumosity's breakthrough brain training. So what are you waiting for? You can support Rev3 Games and get instant access by going to lumosity.com/Rev3Games.